Hello, YouTube. How the heck are you? This is Around the Stakes with your host, IconicBelow, and today we are talking about the COD League stats, many other things, including ESWC, and, as always, the power rankings. But first, let's break down the COD League standings and the recent roster lock. First, as it has been, Optic Gaming going 25-3. Obviously, they did not play this week after going to ESWC. Envy is now tied for second at 20-12, going 3-1 this week. Elevate 20-12 as well, going 1-5 this week, being the most disappointing week that they've had in a very long time. Denial going 16-12, going 1-1 this week. Phase 14-14 in fifth, going 0-2 this week. TCM jumping up to sixth, going 14-17 after going 3-0 this week. TK 13-17, going 2-2 this week. Rise being one of the bigger movers, 12-16, going 3-1 this week. AR going 1-2 to bring them to a total of 11-18. Optic Nation breaks Optic Sandwich, going 12-20 after going 3-1 this week. Finally, they may be catching some fire. Justice going 10-18 after going 0-2 this week. And last but not least, the recently changed Prophecy Squad going 10-18 after not playing this week at all. Okay, so a movement outside of the league. Orbit drops Pac-Man and picks up Lawless, Happy Accuracy, and Facento. This is a precursor to the next move. Prof's new roster is Aches, Apathy, Aqua, and Nagafen. And the last thing that happened this week during the roster lock is TCM picks up Mad Cat. Okay, now we are going to start breaking down the rosters. Well, not the rosters, the power rankings for this week in the COD League. But first, as always, it's going to be number one, Optic Gaming. They stayed the same this week. Obviously, after playing no games, nobody really stood out big enough to pass up Optic Gaming. Obviously, if they haven't lost, it's going to be very, very hard for somebody to pass them up. But second, after moving up one spot, is Envy. Envy won 2-3-2s over TK and Elevate, as well as a massive 3-0 over TK, along with a very depressing loss to a slumping Denial in a 3-0 loss. Envy also massively won in Search, going 5-1 the entire week. They also really slacked and went 1-3 in Capture the Flag. That could be something that we deal with for the rest of the season, but we have to look at these trends. Number 3, going down one spot, is Elevate. On the way they are going, they will drop out of the top 3 next week if they continue in the slump that they dealt with this week, with some massive losses to TCM falling 3-0, 2-3-1s with a loss to AR and Optic Nation, along with 2-3 depressing losses to another one to Optic Nation, and obviously a loss to Envy. On a brighter note, they 3-0'd FaZe in quite devastating fashion. With all of these losses, there was no standout game type in a positive way. On the other hand, they did go only 1-3 in Uplink. Many people consider this a very big hype team. Obviously, with playing without Temp, they have only been playing with Godlike. That is going to change up their team dynamics just a little bit and make it just a little bit harder for them to play with. Number 4, Denial, who decided to stay the same this week, only played 2 matches. They lost 3-2 to Rise. In a happier note, they also 3-0'd Envy, which definitely kept them in that same spot. They probably could have moved down one spot, but they had one game type that really sticked out for them, and that was Hardpoint. Obviously, that is because they have specific roles. Players like Clayster is obviously going to dominate in Hardpoint, especially with that AR play that he is known for. Number 5 is TCM, who stayed the same. Now, personally, you could move them up or down, just depending on your opinion on their wins and losses. But the wins that they had weren't against the best competition, obviously. They started out by 3-0ing Elevate and Automatic Reload. Many people would say Elevate is one of those bigger teams right now, but with them only having a 1-5 week, I don't really expect that win to be as heavily weighted as it normally would be. And then 3-2 to Optic Nation, which obviously was a little bit better of a win, with 3-0 in Hardpoint, Search, and CTF. By far were their best game types. If they got those three back to back to back, they were winning 3-0. Next up is TK in 6th place, who decided to actually play quite average, winning 3-1 against AR and Justice. They also lost twice to Envy. One was 3-2 and one was 3-0. Surprisingly, the one game type that they lost at was Hardpoint. With players like Parasite and Nameless, this isn't what you would expect. On the other hand, CTF was one last chance that they had. Obviously, they won that hell of a lot more than any other game type in the series. Number 7, going up 3 places, is Rise. Rise finally has started doing what they had been doing in the weekend tournaments. Rise 3-2 Denial, 3-1 Justice, and 3-0 FaZe. With the only team that they lost to was Optic Nation 3-0. S&D and Uplink were their best game types by far this week, with Hardpoint being one of their worst game types for them. This is very surprising to me, especially with everybody saying Chino is one of the best Hardpoint players in the entire game, but their teamwork has been on point, obviously, with game types like S&D and Uplink. They have been winning, so Hardpoint will just start to come to them very, very slowly, obviously. FaZe dropped 1 spot to the 8th slot. FaZe consistently has been disappointing, obviously with Enable helping OG at ESWC and Gfinity. They had to play with a fill-in, but those 2 losses that they had were devastating 3-0s against Elevate and Rise. Now, both of these teams are above them, so obviously we weren't going to put them at 7, especially with Rise jumping up 3 spots. FaZe really needed to drop one here. They lost 2 games, and both of them were decisive losses. No way that they could have stayed there. They actually could have moved down to another spot and been below our number 9 team, Optic Nation, after going up 3 places. After defeating 2 teams above them, they had to move up, definitely. After defeating Elevate twice, once 3-0 and once 3-2, along with a 3-0 sweep over Rise. Surprisingly, their lack of slaying didn't lose a single hardpoint. They only lost 1 against TCM, and that was in a 3-2 devastating loss. The only match they lost was obviously against TCM and a 3-2 devastating loss. Number 10 is AR. AR hasn't measured up to what they should have been, especially with the move to go get Mochilla. They have had an amazing win 3-1 over Elevate. On the downside, they lost to TK 3-1 as well, TCM 3-0. The only game that they won more than they lost, obviously more than once, is Hardpoint. So, truthfully, if you look at it, Hardpoint is their Achilles heel. Well, not their Achilles heel. The only thing that they've been winning. So, maybe they need to step it up in the other respawn game modes and definitely search and destroy. Number 11, I had to give the prophecy just because, obviously, they didn't play this week, but they made some amazing roster changes, and that is what gave them that extra slot up over 12. Although they're in the last place in the league, they're actually tied for the last place. They had 2 amazing roster changes. Aqua for Mochilla. This trade starts the improvement. This gives them a stronger Slayer and weakens them in 2 ways. An AR, but they also get weaker in the teamwork. But this trade starts the next trade for Nagafen. This also dropped Sensor to FaZe, which removes the OBJ. So now the only question that we have left is who is going to play the OBJ for Prophecy. We will be yet to see, and if they lose, they will drop down into number 12, but we will have to wait until after Gfinity to see what these players are going to be doing. Next up is Justice, who has dropped 4 spots. This team has been up and down all season, and it seems like this is going to be their lowest point. They lost 3-2 to TK in a devastating loss and 3-1 to Rise. Justice major weakness has been hardpoint. Even with the amazing AR play of Octane, they have yet to actually start dominating with this brand new team that they've actually created. They could have done quite a bit better with getting an SMG Slayer, but this team has yet to have one of those. Now, let's start breaking down the league leaders for the entire COD League and tell if they are hot or not right now. Number 1 in KD is Temp at a 1.36. Not playing this week. He has stayed the same, obviously, and he has been on fire. Octane at a 1.27 actually has dropped 0.02 KD this week, and he's starting to get on that little bit of a cold streak, especially with Justice losing so much. He is starting to slump just a little bit. Formal at a 1.24 has stayed about the same. Scump has risen in the past couple weeks at a 1.21. He's been on fire lately. Slacked at a 1.11 has dropped a 0.1 right now. Clayster at a 1.11 as well also has increased 0.01 and has really started to catch fire if you watch him recently. Saints at a 1.11 as well, and he stayed about the same pretty much the entire COD League. Number 8 is Huke at a 1.1, dropping 0.02 and really starting to hit that cold streak, especially with FaZe slacking so much. That could be the reason why FaZe ended up losing so many matches this week, with Huke struggling. Crim6 at a 1.09 has stayed about the same the past week and a half, 2 weeks. Number 10, Looney at a 1.08 actually has risen 0.01 in KD ratio. Number 11 is Proofy at a 1.06, dropping 0.02 in KD as well. Number 12 is Zuma at a 1.04, who dropped 0.01 in KD. Burns at a 1.04 has dropped 0.02. Slasher at a 1.03 has dropped 0.02 as well, and he's really starting to get on a cold streak. He's just about to fall out of the top 15 in Slayers and is about to be knocked down by number 15 Mochilla at a 1.03, and he has been on fire. I do not have the numbers for him last week, so I don't know how much he has increased, but he's jumped at least 5 places. He was about 20th last time I checked up on him. Now let's break down ESWC and tell you what happened with Optic Gaming winning ESWC 3-1 in the grand finals over Denial. The final placings was Optic Gaming, Denial, Revenge, and Vitality. Now let's go back and look at my predictions, what I thought was going to happen at ESWC. Let me find my paperwork real quick. I don't have it. Whatever. I'm pretty sure I expected Optic Gaming to come first, Revenge to come in second, and then Denial. So I had those two flipped, and then my fourth was a throw up in between Vitality and Ep.11, I think the name. Yeah, I think it was Ep.11 that I had fourth. But Revenge definitely played really well, especially with their team completely being broken up after this event, and players like Vicento coming out and saying that they haven't been getting along. So that definitely was a step in the right direction, and I'm really, really kind of excited to see what is going to happen with teams like Prof and this new Orbit team that Vicento has put together. I'm really, really kind of excited to see what's going to happen with them. And Vitality, with the few roster changes that has just happened recently, I'm really excited to see them as well. Denial really hasn't measured up to exactly what many people would expect out of them, obviously with Clayster stepping up as always on LAN, but I don't think Denial has been a number 2 team, but I'd really like to see if they're going to end up losing at Gfinity or Cali. Those are going to be the 2 places that we really look to see if they're actually one of those top 2 teams. So in the end, that's going to be where we look to see where Denial actually measures up against some of the other top teams. But with them not going to Cali, it may be a little bit harder to pay attention to it. Now let's break down the top 10 in KD with over, I think I did 12 maps played for ESWC. Number 1, definitely the land god of this game. Clayster at a 1.32. Number 2 was Formal at a 1.29. Number 3 was Swanee at a 1.29. Number 4 was Crimsix at a 1.2. Number 5 was Nagafen at a 1.17. Number 6 was Scump at a 1.16. Number 7 was Watson at a 1.15. Number 8 was Bance at a 1.07. Number 9 was Aqua at a 1.06. And then a huge drop off to number 10, Attach at a 0.99. Now, as always, guys, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what makes this all possible. So there is links down in the description. If you guys would like to donate, make sure you do so. There is a link down in the description. And there is a code on Cinch Gaming, code ICONIC, if you would like to get that, to get 5% off all your Cinch Gaming needs. And there is also a brand new link down there in the description. If you guys play on PlayStation, PlayStation 4, or PlayStation 3, make sure to sign up for the official PSGL, and we will be running leagues consistently to put your gaming info out there. If you want to get your name noticed and you play on PlayStation, it is very hard to get yourself noticed right now. So make sure you guys put yourself on there, and we will get yourself not only on this podcast, but start trying to get you guys get sponsors and everything else, along with a great team that you guys can thoroughly enjoy. I can also help with many other things, including YouTube, getting logos and stuff like that. So if you guys are actually interested in doing that, make sure you guys click the link down in the description. It will bring you to a Facebook page and post on the events and everything else, and let us know where you come from, so that way we know exactly where you have come from, and we can help you out with whatever you guys need. And make sure to put your questions and your power rankings down in the comment below. And as always, guys, this has been your boy IconicBelow. Peace out.